play. Let's get my logo in there and make this thing legit. So here's what's going on. Winter meetings are tomorrow. I'll be taking flight. I'll be down there covering it. And I got a bunch of questions today because I put this out and let people know that I was going to be doing this. So I will get to those. We'll try to stay within 30 minutes here because I'm busy and still got to pack. I'll go through Yankees, I'll go through Mets, I'll go through the whole league as much as I can. I'll give you I'm going to try to give 10 predictions. We'll see if I can get to 10, but that's my goal. And that might go with some of the questions and answers I'm getting. So everyone be on your toes for that. But let me just make sure everything is good to go. And then we are off to the races here. All right, logo set. Should be set. Let me go on Twitter really quick. Okay, it should be live. Yep, we are. Excellent. So now, let's let the people know what's going on a little bit. Okay, so we're just gonna double check to make sure we're good. Um, so let's see if we get the chat going or anything. But um, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone that's tuning in, whoever's in here now. I appreciate it as always, and I'm looking forward to a very active couple of days. It's going to be a race from Sunday to Wednesday, basically, with us leaving Thursday. So shout out to Latino Sports, shout out to World Baseball Network, and I'm about to get this thing going. So let me just share it everywhere really quick, and then we will be off to the races for sure. So let's see how this is really going to look here. Now, let me try to say how this is going to go. I'll do Yankees, I'll do Mets, and like I said, the rest of the league. And I'm really looking forward to this a lot. So we'll see how all this progresses. But the winter meetings are always a fun time. It's always a unique time. It's always something I enjoy going to. This will be my fifth winter meetings, and it is very hard to believe that still after this journey I've been on. But nevertheless, we continue to move, we keep going, we keep fighting, and I'm looking forward again to seeing how this is all going to go. But more importantly, the Yankees are at the forefront of this thing. I know a lot of people think that they're going to stay under 300 million, and those are some questions. I got a lot of those. I got a Mets question as well. So I'm going to answer all of it. I got like 7 questions. One of them was an interesting one. It was kind of like a roster configuration I hadn't thought about. So I'm definitely interested to see how that looks. But at the same time, um, let's get to it. So the first question is by a friend of mine, Blaze, on Twitter. And let me start sharing the screen and scrolling down through some of these. And then I'll get to my stuff after I answer these questions. We'll see what predictions come into play here as I'm doing this. So, all right, now we're gonna share the screen, and we are gonna go on Twitter and look at my tweet that I put out earlier today. And let me just get this shared on Instagram and Snapchat. I guess no, we could do Snap later before we keep going with this. But first and foremost, I guess I'll spoil this one here once we get to it. But let me get to the post that I had. So I know it's a little bit late. I kind of wanted to do this earlier, but better late than never. So that's always the mantra out here. And there's a lot of stuff going on with winter. So, okay, here we go. Now, let's get this started. Sharing the screen, and we are off to the races here. Alright, we're shared. I'm gonna put myself into the corner. Alright, so the first question is from my buddy Blaze4551 handle. Will you be at the winter meetings covering it, bro? Did MLB give you credentials unlike Jared Carabas? Well, yes, thankfully I will be there with a credential. But I think Jared should be there. I really do. I won't say much about it because it's really not my place, but I think people like that trying to grow the game should always be allowed into the winter meetings. I just don't understand like the thought process there sometimes, but I digress. So, um, that's the first. So yes, I will be. This will be my third one as a media member, and I'm so excited to be there. Like this is going to be fun. Orlando's great. Got a lot of friends and family down there, so that's always good. And so that's the first one that's on the prediction, obviously, but there's definitely a lot of tension amongst Yankee fans, I feel like, and there's definitely even the Met fan a little bit too kind of seems uneasy, but I definitely think it's more angst among the Yankee fans because the Met fans know that Cohen's going to spend, and Yankee fans are nervous that Hal's not going to, and that's where we're about to get to right now. All right, Anthony Cortera, Trashbags 9, he actually appeared on the podcast in one of my pods in the past, my other buddy Chris. So that was definitely something. But I would say his question is very valid, obviously, and a lot of the Yankee fans are thinking this way right now. But here's the thing with this. So, is it true that the Yankees want to stay under 300 million and the Grisham QO will hinder them from making other moves? How is it possible someone doesn't lose their job? If this is saying, and the Grisham QO will hinder them from making other moves, how does someone not lose their job? Obviously, it's Cashman's call, but we both know he's not getting fired. Well, there's a couple things with that. That's a loaded question, and I will do my best to answer this. First of all, I don't think they're going to go under. That was my spoiler alert. I just can't see it. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, will I talk about that world if they do go under just in case? Yes, I will. But I just don't really see that as being a possibility. They only have, like, what, $18 million to spend or something before they get to 300. That just isn't really feasible for the needs that they have. But crazier things have happened. He has done it before. I get it. But now I'll live in that world quickly, and then I'll pull myself out, and we'll go back and forth a little bit here. So, if that is the case, if Hal told Cash that he only has $300 million to work with, and he decided to use $22 million on Trent Grisham, then yeah, that's a fireable offense. No question about it. Will that actually happen? I don't know, but I will say this. I feel like if they don't get it done in the playoffs again, the noise might get to a point where it's too loud to ignore for Boone and Cashman, and Hal might have no choice but to actually pull the trigger on that. Now, they've both been there for a while. Cash is like going on 25 plus years, maybe 30 plus now, honestly. Like, he's been in New York like for a while. And then Aaron Boone is going to be year 9, by far the most 10-year manager without winning a World Series in Yankees history. I think the previous record was 6 years, so he's obviously over that at this point. But with that being said, like, let's go more in the hood of, like, Hal and Cashman. Because here's the problem. And if Cash is only given $300 million to spend, first of all, I've said this at length, and maybe it's not coming across properly. That should be enough to win in theory. Because look at what happened this year. The Toronto Blue Jays were under $300 million, and they went to the World Series, and they're in the same division. The Yankees had a higher payroll than the Blue Jays, and they lost to the Blue Jays. Now, the Dodgers are amazing. They have the best payroll, and it's translating, and I agree with that. Stack the deck if you can. I'm not advocating to save Hal's money here, but he's gotten enough leeway to spend that the Yankees should have gotten much better results over the last 16 years, and I don't think anyone can really argue that. So, go down the list of mistakes, and there's a lot of them, and I'm going to do a deeper dive on this another time, but let's just do some surface level mistakes that the Yankees have had to pay and eat money on in certain situations. Aaron Hicks. I had to eat a few years on Hicks. That's a wasted $10 million. Josh Donaldson gets cut in his second year for $22 million. A salary dump to try to get rid of Sanchez. You can't even call it a dump because they took on more money. But at the same time, like, that's a problem. And there's other situations too. That's just a few of them. And now they trade for Ryan McMahon. And McMahon did okay. I mean, he was good in the playoffs. I'll give him credit. His defense is phenomenal. His offense leaves a lot to be desired, but he did show up in October, and that's important. But is he a $16 million player if you're crunching money to get to $300 million? Probably not. And Giancarlo Stanton, he is making $22 million on the luxury tax, and yeah, I know the Marlins are paying some of it down, but like, I think that doesn't change his final number for the tax terms. It's the same every year. You average the years of the total salary and divide it. So the fact that the Marlins are eating that money has technically already been accounted for. So an issue because A, he doesn't play his 162. You're not getting your full worth in the regular season. And yeah, he's been great in October, but they haven't won a championship with him, and it's really not his fault in most situations, to be honest. The only time that I look back on during this era was 2019 when he was hurt. Because I feel like if he was in the lineup during that series, a lot of stuff could have been different against the Astros. Remember, they were up 1-0. He gets hurt in game two, I think. And then they had the lead in game two. They blow it. And then, obviously, we know the rest. So, that was a problem. But other than that, he's been very good in October if you take away this year. Now, this year was very bad for obvious reasons for him in October. But to me, I don't think would have made enough of a difference in October just because of the way the Yankees lost those games against the Blue Jays. Like, honestly speaking, I think that it just wasn't going to be good enough, even if he was hitting better. Like, look at the games. They got blown up in game one. Game two, they get blown up. And then, so, you would be down 2-0 anyway, even if he plays well. Game three, they win. Game four, they lost, 5-2? I mean, could he have made a difference? I mean, sure. But that's expecting him to hit a grand slam, basically, in one game. So, as good as he is, it's not necessarily realistic. So, to me, like, he's not the reason why they didn't do damage this year in October. And he actually had a very good regular season. But long-term, crunching money, dollars, trying to get to $300 million, he's not helping the situation, if that's what they're going to do. But we're going to move out of that role for a second now. Okay, so will they spend the $300? Yes, I already answered that. This is from Zach Goldstein, 24. He's also a follower of mine, and he treks in with me a lot, likes a lot of my stuff, so I appreciate that. So, yes, like I said, I think they will go over. Last year's budget was like $320, so in theory, you would hope he gets at least back up to that. Now, I think the best case scenario you're probably looking at is a $330 to $340 situation if they decide to go in here. Because I don't see Steinbrenner letting the payroll balloon up to $350. I feel like he would probably stop himself at there. I don't think he wants a $350 million payroll. I'd be surprised. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not going to say I know 100%, but just thinking how he thinks with the luxury tax and most other stuff and the shareholders, like $340 million is kind of like my ceiling. I've seen that number floated around. So let's say they get to the 330 or 340 range. You can add like 50 million or so, 60 million or so at that point. Here's the problem when you're looking at the Yankees roster construction, flexibility, and all this other good jazz here. They don't really have a lot of flexibility to shed payroll because I'm going to answer that Mets question. It's coming. So that's going to be my third question on this line here. So for the first thing is that I'm going to say they got to 330 to 340. So that gives them $50 to $60 million to play with. What does that look like? Cody Bellinger, if they re-sign him, would already take up half of that, which is why I can't see them staying under, because if they say they're interested in Bellinger and the Christian pursuit doesn't affect that, then that's a bold-faced lie, because as soon as you sign Bellinger, you're going over. So that's a part of the reason why I don't think they're going to stay under. Now, another guy who's definitely on the radar to me is Michael King. So for Michael King, I think you're looking at, like, I've floated this idea before, for like a 3 for 75 deal for Mike King. Maybe he settles in like the 3 for 66 range, like we saw Nightingale float around with Gallen, and that was a whole fiasco. But we'll get to that in a second. But more importantly for King and the Yankees, it does make a lot of sense for several different reasons. Number one, it's not a gamble really because they're familiar with him. Number two, You can get him for pennies on the dollar, kind of, because he didn't have the best year. So you're not going to have to pay him $30 million a year. So that's a plus for them. And Mike King liked his time in New York, and he also does a lot of things they like well. If he can't start for some reason, he goes into the bullpen again. But I think he's a starter now, obviously, despite the fact he had a rough season with injuries. That is the one drawback with Mike King. It's not the fact that I don't think he can be a starting pitcher, because I still think he should be, obviously. The drawback with Mike King is that he's also injury prone. So he's had a few different things flare up. He had Tommy John. He had a lot of issues last year. So, but if you're not relying on him to be a top three starter, which you may not be in this sense, then it's a perfect move. I mean, I guess, you know what? No, I'll take that back. Mike King is a solid three starter, at least, with the upside of a two. He's not an ace. On a good day, he's a two. And his floor is a three as long as he's healthy. So, is that something they're going to pursue? It's possible. But to me, before I go too into this, like, Amai is the number one option for the Yankees because he's the best guy right now, I believe, even though he hasn't pitched in America. He has the best age length going for him. He's 27, so he's the youngest free agent starter on the market. We saw what Yamamoto did. Like, we've seen other various Japanese pitchers succeed. Some haven't, but I really would take my chances on. I would definitely take my chances on Imai because I just think that he's the real deal. I think that he's going to be great, and I think he's a guy that will thrive in New York, and I just think it makes perfect sense, and you can never have enough starting pitching. I've gone through this a million times, so I won't be too hard with this, but Max Fried is solid. He's fine in the rotation. Then you have obviously Rodon, who's going to miss time, and Cole. So could Rodon be traded? Probably not. I doubt it, especially since he's banged up. If you're looking at two contracts that might be movable, I guess his could be. Would the Yankees have to pay down some money? I don't know. But at the same time, like, I don't really think that's going to happen. I think he's going to stay in the Bronx, at least for now, especially because he's banged up. So, like, that doesn't really make that much sense to me at the moment. So, Garrett Cole's also going to miss time. So let's say Carlos misses a month. That's a soft estimation. Then it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. But worst case, let's say he misses like 2 months, then you're kind of looking at a different situation. So that's the situation with that, kind of. That's how I'm feeling. But you look at Cam Schlittler. He was on the Hot Stove Show. A lot of exciting stuff about Cam Schlittler. He's definitely going to be a force in the rotation, and he'll pitch more innings, so that will help. And when Garrett's back, that'll help. Now, the reason why you want to get Imai is because you want to stack the deck in an area. Like, what is something the Yankees do outstanding? Like, I know their offense was rated well last year, but it didn't show up in October. And I saw the stats against playoff teams that played well in the regular season. But there were still some times they struggled against elite pitching. I mean, everyone does. That's not the biggest issue with them. It's just like, it's too reliant on the home run ball, and that works better in the regular season in October. Now, yes, I know teams hit bombs, they win the World Series. I get it. And I'm pretty sure the Blue Jays out-homered the Dodgers and still lost, by the way. But that's another story. I know most times when you out-homer a team, you win. But the thing is, the Octobers aren't dropping for the Yankees. The homers aren't dropping as much as they need to be in October for the Yankees. And that's one of their biggest issues. So, how do you fix that? I don't know. Maybe a guy like Kyle Tucker could fix that. I know Cody Bellinger has not been the best in October. Either has Tuck, but Tuck has the ring. Bellinger has one too in the shortened season. Someone got on me one time for saying that he didn't have one, but I never said he didn't have one. I probably just didn't mention it. But besides that, like, you're looking at Tucker, you're looking at Belly, and one of my predictions is that the Yankees will re-sign Cody Bellinger during the winter meetings. That's prediction number one. Now, let's get to the Mets, because my guy Daniel Garcia has been messaging me about this on Twitter twice. So, what are the Mets going to do in my opinion? I've laid this out a few times, but I will tell you what I really think. I think Framber Valdez signs with the Mets at the winter meetings. Prediction number two, the Mets sign Framber Valdez at the winter meetings. So that's two predictions right there. I think they will sign Framber Valdez. I believe the smoke in the fire. I put that in my predictions coming into the offseason. Will he pass Dylan Cease's 7 of 210? I'm not sure because of the issue with the cross up, and he is a little bit older than Cease, but he will get a lot of money still because I think he's the second best free agent starting pitcher left. Because and it's hard to say Amai is better than him, I get it. But if I'm looking at value in terms of trajectory, arrow going up, I'm looking at Amai's ceiling is way higher as Framber Valdez. I think that's fair. Valdez, I don't know if he's quite an ace anymore, but he's a solid number 2. And if the Mets get Valdez, that's a huge upgrade. He will be their best pitcher by far if you put him on the team last year. Nolan McLean wasn't there long enough. So could you run out McLean 1, Valdez 2, Clay Holmes 3, Sean Manaea 4, and David Peterson 5. Kodai Senga might get traded. You know what? That's going to be my third prediction. Kodai Senga gets traded at the winter meetings. I think that Senga's going to get dealt. I think the Mets want him out. I know he wants to stay, but there's been a lot of smoke about them trading him, and I'm going to believe that he gets traded. Now, prediction number 4, you won't like this one. Pete Alonso signs with the Boston Red Sox during the winter meetings. This is something that I picked before the process of the interest was even really generating from Boston. Now you're starting to see the interest, so I think that he's definitely gonna go to the Red Sox. I really do. So now that's like a couple Mets thoughts. Now I think the Mets are gonna do a lot more than that, but it might not all happen in the winter meetings. Edwin Diaz could still re-sign. I did pick that. That seems like a more than winter meetings thing, though. I say maybe after the winter meetings. So I gave 4 predictions based on the team. So I'll try to do a 5th one and maybe switch to some other teams. Let's do a Yankees one. Okay, this one actually makes sense. We're going to go right into this here. Making a deal with the Cards to get, this is my buddy, Love Humanity, Stop Those That Don't, Alan Dexter, 2020. So, I like where he's getting at here. Make a deal with the Cards to get Donovan, Wilson Contreras, and the Cards eating at Wilson's first year of the deal, and New York sending back some pitching in the deal. Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Absolutely. I love this idea. I absolutely do. For several different reasons. And I highlighted this a couple times. So, let's get on the main screen here, because this is going to be serious. I got to get on the main screen. Okay. So, I really think this is something that could happen. That's going to be my 5th prediction. The Yankees pull off a surprise trade the winter meetings, possibly Brendan Donovan, and one of Wilson Contreras or Jojo Romero. Now, Jojo Romero really boosts the Yankees bullpen, and we're going to get there later because someone did ask me a bullpen question. And the other thing to piggyback off with some stuff is that, I think that the situation with Ballinger could be very much Yankees or Mets, like I talked about. Another battle like Soto, but not nearly as much money. If the Yankees don't want to pay, he gets the 6. I think he gets the 6 from the Mets or the Phillies, not the Yankees. And Kyle Tucker, this one is going to be a tough prediction to make, but it has to be made anyway. This is going to be my 6th prediction. Kyle Tucker signs with the Toronto Blue Jays during the winter meetings. And Bichette may also sign with them, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a winter thing. Actually, you know what? No. Let's take that one back. I'm going to cheat here a little bit, and I'm sorry, but the Blue Jays signed one of Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette at the winter meetings, prediction number 6. So that's my thing there. And let's get back to this Cardinals deal and how I think it makes sense. Well, Brendan Donovan fits the Yankees like a glove. I know his positional fit might be a little bit funky if Jazz is still around. And yes, I do think Jazz will still be around. And he's not really a way to offload salary because he's not making that much money. Is there a way to trade McMahon maybe and sign Okamoto? That would be something I would explore, but you're going to have to eat some money. So again, it's like, why are you saddling yourself with this contract over the next 2 years? I didn't like the deal at the time. I know he did decent in October. I need to see more from him offensively against lefties. He probably needs a platoon option, which we're also going to touch on later as well. But so this Cardinals deal with Brendan Donovan. Donovan is a very solid hitter. He's not a big power guy, but he's a contact guy. He'll splice up the lineup a little bit. It won't be as many. It won't be nearly as many strikeouts with him. Chisholm is actually making 11 million this year, but it doesn't really make sense to trade him for me, because if you do that, then you bring in Brendan Donovan, and I have news for people. Brendan Donovan is not as good as Jazz Chisholm. He's just not. But does he fit what the Yankees need to do in versatility better? I mean, maybe, but I envision a world with both guys on the team, not with Jazz going and Brendan Donovan being his replacement. Now, the reason why I want Wilson Contreras is very cut and dry. It's a righty platoon bat for Rice at first base, and he could catch in a pinch. I mean, like I said, he really cannot be any worse than Ben Rice back there. I know he's not the best defensive catcher by any means, but I think he still would catch. I think when I was talking to him, he kind of brought that up earlier this year, like during the season. But I think it's a good fit because first, he still has a lot of pop left in that bat. His OPS was close to 800. Now, let me play my favorite game here when I'm looking up players. The Baseball Savant game is good. I like that. But, like, his bat speed is also great. Someone was trying to tell me it was declining. It's 95 percentile. So, I don't know what that's really about. Whatever. So, let's play the Yankee Stadium home run game. He hit 20 last year. 428 at-bats. Not bad. Everything's right on Savant and bat speed up. Then you have some whiff and chase and swing decisions a little bit down. Let me see his strikeout percentage. Hard hit percentage 49. That's pretty decent. Trying to see if I could get to Ks, but that's really not why I'm here. I mean, he did 29% fastball, 11 sinker, 35 slider. Oh no, K rate's 29 fast, 24.5 slider, 10.8 sink, change up. Okay, this is too many pitches, but let's see. So now he would have had 3 more home runs at Yankee Stadium. What do you know? Because he's not a dead pull hitter, so he can spray the ball a little bit. He had about, it looks like 3 to 5 Oppo home runs. A couple of them were close to center, depending on what you quantify as Oppo. But he can hit a little bit the other way. I will check his strikeout just because I'm curious here. He's a veteran. He provides leadership. 142 is the career high. I don't love that. But, again, like, you need righty bats. I think he can play well in the Yankees lineup. And, yes, he has a no-trade clause, but I think he would approve a trade to the Yankees. I definitely do. So that, and then Jojo Romero makes a ton of sense for the bullpen. Costs like maybe $6 million. Like, not a lot of money. Brendan Donovan's in the same ballpark. So this is a way that they could stay under in theory. They wanted to if they didn't sign Bellinger. So how can the Yankees win 183 games if they keep the budget under $300 million? DJ Piglatt and Javier Anguilla. So that I kind of talked about that a little bit. Because if you do a trade like that, it saves you economically, and that does fill 2 needs. Now, would you put Brendan Donovan in left? Do you throw Jazz back in left at that point? I don't know. I mean, Jason Dominguez will get some reps still. Spencer Jones will still be in the cards if you don't re-sign Bellinger. Or does Spencer Jones have to go to St. Louis in the Brendan Donovan deal or Jason Dominguez? Now, getting back to my larger picture deal, why I want to mine the rotation. So, why I want to mine the rotation is very simple. You can trade one of Hill or Warren in a deal like this. So I want one of them as ammo to use to get a bat or something. Or a bullpen arm like a JoJo and Brendan Donovan. Then, when everyone comes back, you still have your set 5. It will be Cole, it will be Fried, Imai, Rodon, and then Schlittler. Now that sounds like a World Series rotation to me. And if the Yankees' offense isn't quite as good, that can make a big difference. And that other thing with that is that you can also get another pitcher too, like later down the line if you need, because you have Clark Schmidt. He might be back in the second half of the year. if Taylor Warren survive, one of them's a bullpen option. You create your bullpen now, and this all saves the bullpen because all these guys I'm putting into the rotation here, these guys are all capable of going 6+ on every night. So that's gonna save the bullpen and make them better automatically. And then if you want to go 6-man for a bit for some rest, you could too with Imai and Cole and Rodon battling back out. Someone mentioned that idea to me. I kind of shut it down. My bad. I don't know if the Yankees would actually do it. Is there a world where they trade for Alcantara if they don't get Imai? I think so. That could be possible. Edwin Cabrera might be too rich for the Yankees' taste prospect-wise. But hey, you never know. So that's why I want Imai for the Yankees, because he will give them plenty of options. And then Elmer Rodriguez could be called up. Carlos Grande could be on the verge of being called up, whether he's a starter or a reliever. So I think you have a lot of options. And Ben Hess is another guy. Maybe he gets a shot this year. Finished strong at Double-A last year. And those are definitely their 3 best pitching prospects. Bryce Cunningham trailing them, but I think he ended up in high A. So he's got a little bit to go. And some of those guys I mentioned might also get traded. And I want to say a couple other things here about this. So the Rule 5 draft is coming. They decide to protect Elmer Rodriguez, Spencer Jones, and Chase Hampton. Now, I like all those decisions. Was there some guys who are leaving vulnerable like Harrison Cohen and the TJ Rumfield? Yes. Brock Selvage, of course. Henry Lalane, another one. But you don't have the roster space for a lot of them. The one guy I probably would have took out of all of them is actually Harrison Cohen, because I feel like he could have contributed in the Yankees bullpen. But maybe they don't see it that way, but we'll find out. If he doesn't get claimed, he'll have a shot to make that bullpen this year. But I think he might get taken. Some guys that I rattled off before, I think they're all very possible to be drafted. And I think the Rule 5 draft is Wednesday, I want to say. Because I think Tuesday's the draft lottery, so yeah. That's what we're looking at. And then Sunday is the Hall of Fame ballot, which I'm going to go into quickly once I can. But I got to get off this split screen soon. So this is the last question, and then I'm off the split screen. So a couple... Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to get off it now because I can just upload this. Actually, yeah, it doesn't fully show it. Let me get off this. So I'll add it as a source, and then we'll go from there. Alright. Let's see how we're looking here. Because it did hit some points I wanted to get to. So, alright. Let's attack pitching first since I kind of started there. The question came in from... Oh, switch that. Yeah, here we go. The question came in from a guy, billionaire... I lost it for a second, sorry. It came in from billionaire Edson Norford, and he asked what I think of that roster that he sent me. Okay, so I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, so that's kinds of what I got going on, but let's see if I'm getting it. Yeah, so it had some. I think it had Imai in the rotation actually, so that's a win for me automatically. Or Alcantara. No, it had Mackenzie Gore. Sorry. So I'm assuming he's gonna trade Spencer Jones here because he kept Dominguez on the team. He puts Mackenzie Gore in there, Cam Schlittler, and he keeps Heel and Warren, which I don't know would be possible if you get Mackenzie Gore. But let's say if you survive one of them. I mean, yeah, that's a great rotation. Mackenzie Gore would be good too. The only problem with Mackenzie Gore is that he's very boomer bust. He gives up long balls. And when he gets hit hard. But he does have some good swing and miss stuff. And it's definitely a guy I think the Yankees do have some interest in. It has been reported. But at the same time, you got to take some of the reports with a grain of salt. You never know what's being out there just to push other teams. Now, Mackenzie Gore has 2 years left to control. His contract is extremely cheap because he's still only in his, I guess, going into his 5th year in the league now, which is crazy because I still remember when he was the hype prospect in the Juan Soto trade. So time is really flying there. But I think he would be a decent ad if they don't want to go the free agent route. I'm not against bringing in Mackenzie Gore. The only fallback is that he's another lefty, and the Yankees will have three lefties in the rotation. I don't love that. I know the Phillies did it this year, and they didn't really get far. I'm not saying that's why, but kind of just saying. He was the third overall pick in 2017. This guy has such a high ceiling, 185 Ks. The WHIP at 1.3 you don't love. ERA 4.7 career. I don't think the FIP is a 3.74, not much better. A little bit, but like he has stricken out over 180 batters in the last two seasons, and that is valuable. B WAR of 3, so he's solid. Would he improve on the Yankees opposed to the Nationals? That's definitely possible. Not even talking about win losses, just like a better team, better energy, playing better defense around him, like all that stuff. So that could be something. Justin Wilson, I'm not really into. Danny Colomé, I mean, sure, but they do have Tim Hill in this role too to be a lefty. You still have Hedrick. I do agree with the premises that you need three bullpen arms probably, but he there's no Yarbo here, so I'm not sure why Yarbo wouldn't be in this mix. And then you would have Tim Hill as your fourth guarantee guy. You still have Hedrick, you still have Yerry De Los Santos, so there's a couple different options the Yankees have. But that's an interesting way to attack this thing. Would I take a shot at Robert Suarez? Yes, but I don't know if they will. Is a guy like Brad Keller on the radar? Maybe, I don't know. I know he's on the Tigers' radar along with Mike King. So, prediction number 7 with the Detroit Tigers: Tariq Skubal does not get traded at the winter meetings or at all, and they will sign Mike King during the winter meetings. So that's another prediction. Or Ranger Suarez, but we'll lean into King. And with the Blue Jays, I'll lean into Tucker if I have to pick a side there. Okay, so I'm trying to look at some bullpen stuff here to see if there's any other names that were left off this thing that need to be factored into the bullpen. So I'll let you know right now. Okay. Hedrick, like I said, yeah. Gary, like I said, Jake Bird. There's the one. Jake Bird will be in this bullpen. So, yeah, you're looking at like 2 or 3 arm additions, maybe. I know Armstrong's being brought up. I know there's other lower tier guys will probably find a trade for him. Not even thinking about that might be in here. So that's definitely possible. So let's get rid of that. And then I have 3 predictions left and 1 question. So let's see let's see. There was another. Now he's going to go through the lineup, and I think it's actually similar to what I was talking about. So I appreciate this. This should be it, I think. Yep. Okay. Switch it up now. All right. So he puts Brendan Donovan the left or third. Okay, I can see it. He puts McMahon at third. He puts Grisham in center, obviously. He has Caballero, Wells, Rice, Stanton, Jazz, Judge. So he's really only adding Brendan Donovan to the starting lineup. I don't know if that's good enough. I mean, it might. Do you? I mean, Donovan's a better leadoff hitter than Bellinger, but he's also not a better all-around player than Bellinger, I don't think, based on what we saw last year at least. So I don't know how much that improves the lineup. But it's a possibility that could happen. That would kind of be under my the 83 win question of $300 million. I guess this is what it would look like, the lineup below. Yeah, that would actually, this guy sort of constructed the way to do it if you take away all these bench signings, which I probably don't see happening as much. He keeps Jason in the folds. I mean, Jonah Heim, I don't know, because, like, you want someone that's a full righty, I think, not a switch hitter. And I looked at Heim's splits. They weren't, like, crazy from the left side, I didn't think. I do think he's a little bit better from the left side, but it wasn't, like, drastic enough for me to be like, oh, the Yankees need to sign him. Carlos Santana, I mean, at this point, I don't know. I'm not sure. I would have did that last year, maybe. I don't know how much is left in Carlos Santana. I'd really, if they're gonna do all this, I'd rather just take a shot at Okamoto. So I don't know if that's something that's in the cards, but I haven't really seen the Yankees linked to him. Murakami, there were some early rumblings, but those have been quiet too. Yeah, I don't want Carlos Santana. His OPS was a 633. He's about 40 years old. He's done probably. He might not even get another deal. So I'm out on Santana. Arcia, one of my friends brought this up actually. He's taking out Oswaldo Cabrera, so I'm not sure if he puts him in the trade for Mackenzie Gore or what, but I would rather keep Oswaldo Cabrera than have Arcia on the bench. Wilmer Flores. Now, this one's interesting to me. The only issue is, like, I don't know how much third base he could play anymore because if they're going to go this route, they're going to need a righty third baseman to platoon, especially if you're signing Brendan Donovan as well. So, like, it does say he does third still. I know he's an ex-Met, obviously. He's been on the Giants since 2020. He was pretty decent last year until the stretch run kind of caught up to him a little bit. 16 bobs, 71 RBI, but the OPS under 700, not what you want. Let me try to look at this fielding here. He played. Let me check. Yeah, no, he hasn't. He's not really a third baseman anymore, so I don't know about that. Because do you just go for Rosario at that point? So if you wanted to do the under 300 million method, that's how you do it. It's like Rosario, trade for Donovan, trade for Gore. But then you don't really have a bullpen. You're going all at a minimum. So it's really tough to even put that together. You know what? No. Take away the Gore trade. You trade for Donovan, you trade for Romero. That puts you upright against the luxury tax, so basically. And there's really not many contracts that get shed. That's the problem. Like, you look across the roster, a lot of those contracts are not getting traded. But let's just live in a dumb world here and say Jazz Chisholm gets traded. That frees up the $11 million that you get for two players to the one, like the Moneyball method. But that's not what the Yankees should be doing. But if we're gonna play that game, then that's how you would play it. I guess you put Donovan in a second. You go with the kids, Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones on the roster. Then you take Romero, you take Donovan, you fill out the bullpen with like vet minimum guys at that point that you think you could turn into something, invite them to spring training that's like $1 million, maybe less. And then you sign like Rosario to be your platoon infielder, and that's it. That's how you stay under 300 million. Now, do I think they're going to actually do that? No. But if you were going to try to do that, something like that would be the way to do it, I guess. Or do you trade for a Joe Ryan instead of Jojo Romero because he's not making that much money either? I know the Twins said they wouldn't shop him. I don't believe that. I think that's horse. I think they're just saying that to try to make the prices high. So let me give you my 8, 9, and 10 predictions. Number 8, the Pirates or Marlins do something we're not expecting. Both teams are fishing around to try to improve, but you know what? I'm going to lean into the Pirates here. I'll say the Pirates. I don't want to say they signed Jorge Polanco because I feel like that's like a fake rumor. I know it's always Garcia can make some sense. Like, these are some guys I'm thinking about for them. Do they try like a Marcelo Zuna? The Pirates, you know what? Let's have a fun one here. I like this fit a lot. I've been talking about it a lot. It makes a lot of sense. They just got the password from the Red Sox. He's a righty. He's going to play left. How about fixing second base with Brandon Lau? Trade with the Pirates make a trade with the Rays for Brandon Lau or Yandy Diaz. I predicted Yandy in a piece I did. How about both of them? I mean, the Pirates need all the offensive help they can get, and the Rays are looking to shed money as always. So how about they really try to fix the offense? You trade for both of them, and do you somehow sign Okamoto to play third or first? Like, I know the Pirates have interest now. Would he go there? I don't know. Would they have to overpay for him? I'm sure they would. Now, that's the issue with the Pirates attacking free agency. They've been so bad for so long, they're going to have to overpay drastically to get anyone because it's been a joke for a decade plus now, probably. So that's my 8th prediction. The Pirates make a trade for Brandon Lau or possibly Andy Diaz. My number 9 prediction is that the Marlins will sign some type of bat we're not expecting, or they pull the trade for Alcantara. I don't believe Cabrera is going to get traded. I know they're saying he's more likely to move unless they get blown away. Now, is there a world where the Red Sox do another trade and they trade Jared Duran to the Marlins for Not Alcantara. That's not enough value for Edwin Cabrera. That's my other thing. Can they do a trade there? I know the Dodgers are in on Duran and a couple other things. And then my 10th and final prediction, I got to give some respect to the World Series champs, the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers will sign Robert Suarez at the winter meetings and possibly Pete Fairbanks as well. And then to give you the third layer, they're not going to sign a free agent outfielder. They're going to try to finish the job they had at the trade deadline last year, and they're going to go get Steven Kwan to play left field for them. So that's my prediction with the Dodgers. Bonus predictions. I did have one I was going to share. One bonus prediction. Let's see. I covered all the teams. I would say that like the Mariners don't re-sign Suarez. I don't think. I think Polanco still goes back to the Mariners, but that wasn't going to be my bonus. I do like that Tigers fit. Some people don't like it as much. Maybe Suarez goes back to the Reds. That might actually be more sensible than the Tigers because the Reds are kind of pigeonholing themselves with some budgetary stuff. The Pirates have more to spend right now. They're willing to open up the checkbook a little bit. Now, the Reds can still afford Suarez in their $20 million window. Let's say you give him $15 a year. You might not be able to do much else, but you get a big power bat. You know why? He's familiar with it. He loves playing there. He would be their home run leader. Is he going to hit for a good average? No. Is he going to whiff a lot? Yes. But did he have some big moments in October? Yes. Will he hit some big home runs? Absolutely. Is his defense at third base amazing? No, but it's passable. So, Eugenio Suarez could go back to the Reds potentially. I feel like he's going to go back to a team he's been on before. So, Mariners, Reds, or Tigers, he won't be joining a team he's never played on before. I did just have a decent thought here, so I think I'll share it and I'll get out of here. So, my thought was something to do with the Boston Red Sox. Oh, okay, so I hinted at this before. Jared Duran gets traded during the winter meetings. That's another one of my predictions, because that's been itching around for a while now. I feel like that one's overdue. I mean, Duran can't be loving all this talk. I feel like they got to just get him out at this point. It seems like they're going to lean towards Willie Abreu, because I don't think he makes as much money or whatever. I think Duran's still better than him probably, but maybe they don't feel that way. So that's something I would look at. And then I'll end everyone here. I think I'll back off Tucker and say Blue Jays resign Bichette in Orlando. And then I will piggyback that with Kyle Schwarber resigns with the Phillies at the winter meetings. I think there's been a lot of buzz about other teams. I think there's been a lot of teams in the mix. But I think he ultimately goes back to Philly. Am I surprised it's taking this long? Yes. Is it going to leave a window of doubt that he might not be going back there? Yes. But I still believe he'll go back, possibly JT as well. I think Ranger Suarez is going to Baltimore. And I also think that Baltimore could end up trading for Freddie Peralta, if not at the meetings, shortly after. The Mets are very hot on Freddie too. So I think there's definitely a situation that can take place. Because the Mets, if they get Framber, they might be kind of full in the rotation. They do have a lot of prospect capital to give. Will they want to use that for some bullpen help to help the middle innings and stuff? If they don't get Diaz back, do they trade for someone I'm not thinking about? They still got to get a left fielder, obviously. They have no one left. If they don't get Bellinger, what do they do? Do they try to make the Kwan trade maybe? Do they try, not on the rides because he can't play left field. But there's definitely a couple different ways they can go. So I don't think he might sign at the winter meetings because they say he's going to take his meetings after that, but it's been a little mixed reporting there, but I'm going to say he's after the winter meetings. Maybe Okamoto signs during the winter meetings, and it might be a weird team. Do the Orioles take a shot at a guy like Okamoto maybe and move Mountcastle? That's been speculated a little bit. If the Red Sox don't get Alonso, do they take a shot? Do the Pirates actually step up to the plate? Do they secure him? What about the Phillies maybe if they move on from Alec Boehm? Because I think that's possible as well. And then like Padres I think have checked in possibly. Maybe Giants will go there too. Or they have Eldridge. Will they move him? So there's a lot of moving parts here. I think I hit on all the big names and free agents for the most part. I still think Joe Ryan can get traded or Pablo Lopez. It seems like it won't tear it all down, but I do think one of them is going to get moved. Buxton could possibly get moved. I also heard something before that the Blue Jays have offered Edwin Diaz 4 years. Apparently, the Mets don't want to go to 5. So are they both in that 4 range now? Is it? I think it's Mets, Blue Jays, Dodgers for Edwin Diaz. Those are the 3 teams I'm really circling in on there. But um, yeah, I think I'm just about set here. We can just double check to make sure. I want to make sure I didn't miss any big names or storylines. I definitely gave bonus predictions for sure, so that's cool. But let me see how else if I missed any names. No, I think I got them all actually, at least the ones on this list and everything. So I do appreciate everyone checking in. It's definitely been a fun time, and I'll give one more, I guess, since why not, right? Zach Gallen signs with the Angels, and the Cubs. Well, this whole Cubs situation blows up because it wasn't that close, obviously. And Bob and everything, like, I love Bob to death, but he's got to check himself a little bit because he gets a lot of shit wrong. Um, it's just like at a way too high of a rate. But he's good. He has good info. He's not. Sometimes he's on the money. Like his trade stuff is very savvy. Like who guys he thinks are gonna get moved sometimes. So I definitely think that's definitely noteworthy. I really do. But he's just got to clean it up a little bit. I can't wait to see what's going to happen at the winter meetings. It's going to be crazy. One other thing I'll say, if the Mets don't re-sign Alonso, I probably should have put this in there with the what do I think the Mets are going to do part. But I have been saying this for a while now, and I'll repeat it again. Alex Bregman could definitely be on the Mets' radar. I would not be shocked if he's a replacement to Alonso in a sense, and they can move some extra infielders, figure out what to do at first. It's a guy like Ryan O'Hearn in play there. That might make sense for the Pirates. I've heard that one float a little bit. And then I also think that one final thing I was going to touch up here was that there's another player I wanted to talk about. Oh, here we go. The Angels will sign Zach Gallen at the winter meetings. Like I said, the whole Cubs thing's going to blow up. Angels sign him, and that's how that's going to go. I think the Royals could trade for a bat, maybe. They need someone. Are they in that Duran mix? I think it's possible. Do the Royals look to sign an outfielder somewhere? The thing is, the list, once you get past Ballinger and Tucker, is nothing great. They kind of have a lot of too much DH catching first mixing going on, so I don't think the Royals can afford to add a DH. They need infield help. Maybe at second, India could be using an upgrade, but second baseman in the league are not great, so I don't know how they feel there. And then an outfielder is desperately needed for the Kansas City Royals. Do they finally pull the trigger on the trade I've been talking about for 2 years? Do they go in the division? Do they go get Luis Robert? I think they should. It can't be anything. It cannot be worse than what they are running out there now. He's a great defender. He has speed. Now, is he a great average hitter? No. Is he going to strike out a little bit? Obviously. His walks actually went up. He needs to have better discipline, but that's just like the situation of some stuff I think that could go down. So I think I hit on all of it. I hope I hit on all of it. Everyone check us out on Latino Sports. We'll be doing a bunch of live streams in the winter meetings. Also World Baseball Network. So let me give my sign-offs here, then we'll be on our way. So, where am I? Okay. So it's up to me here. It's Julian Guilarte. It's the Julian Guilarte Show. X, Twitter, it's Julian Guilarte 1. Instagram's Julian Guilarte 11. TikTok, you search my name. Facebook, you search my name. Check out Latino Sports and World Baseball Network on all platforms. Thank you, everyone. And Sunday night, before I get going, actually, there is a very important thing I got to discuss. So I gave my sign-off early, whatever, but I cannot escape this without going through the Hall of Fame ballot. And I know it's not called the Veterans Committee anymore, but I'm just going to keep it that way because I don't feel like typing in the other one right now. But I will find this ballot, and then I'll share it on my screen, and then I'll tell you how I feel and what I think is going to happen. But let's see if it comes up. Yeah, no, this is way too early. Contemporary Baseball Era Committee ballot. Just say the Veterans Committee. Jesus. So, I'm going to say the Veterans Committee just to save us all the aggravation here. So, I'm going to get the ballot, and we will discuss it briefly. And that's how that's going to go. So, there it is. Sunday, 7:30 live in Orlando, because let's put that out there. Alright, I'm not doing this for more than an hour, so I'm gonna move quickly here. Nope, this website is not what I wanted. Let's get to Twitter. Someone's got to have a better picture of it. Nope, that's the wrong one. But alright, I guess I'm going back to Twitter. I know who's on it, actually. I just want to share it with everyone to see like how they, just so they can see it as I'm seeing it. Obviously, I know it's Tom Mattingly, it's Dale Murphy, it's Barry Bonds, it's Roger Clemens, Fernando Valenzuela, Gary Sheffield, and Carlos Delgado and Jeff Kent. Now, you could kind of make a case for all of these people, in a sense, but obviously that's not going to happen. But we could live in a world where I'll make that case briefly for all of them, maybe, but I'll kind of focus on what I think is more realistic. So I just added the picture on my doc, and now I'll add a source in here, and we will be sharing this. So let me see. Yeah, let's do the image. So I don't want to be that small. Hold on. Boy. Well, this is what we're looking at, though. And I'll tell you what I would do if I had a ballot. So, I don't, obviously, but it's only 16 voters. These guys need 12 votes to get in. And you can only vote for 3 guys to get in. So, the highest outcome is going to be 3. Now, that's unlikely because that means everyone would have to agree on the 3 almost, or 75% of people, and I highly doubt that's going to happen. So, the people that are gaining the steam here is Don Mattingly, 1. There's the whole case about him that's been years and years and years in the making, and I think he might finally get in here. But we'll have to see if that happens. There's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of content, a lot of stories, like you name it, it's coming. That's going to be huge. We're less than 24 hours away from knowing if Donnie Baseball is going to be a Hall of Famer. That's actually pretty crazy. The other guy who I think is going to get in is Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy's won 2 MVPs. Now, full discretion, I never saw any of these guys play with my own eyes, so I don't fully know how other people view them. I know they get good remarks. I know their numbers look good. Would I put them into the Hall of Fame? Honestly speaking, yeah, I think I would. Especially Mattingly, and especially because how elite he was defensively at first base. Murphy was very versatile, and he was a good hitter, and he did win 2 MVPs, so I think that is obviously semi-deserving just off that, but there's more to it, and he was a good player. So I think those 2 will get in. Will I have an issue with that? No. But do I think that Carlos Delgado should be a Hall of Famer? Yeah, I do. I'm going to make a strong case for Carlos Delgado to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, his OPS is over 900 for his career. He has 473 bombs. He would have easily hit 500 if he didn't have hip surgery. So I feel like it's unfair to penalize him for a bum hip at the end of his career when he would have easily had the 500. He would have been in. The problem is his defense was terrible. So that's why he's not a Hall of Famer. And maybe another reason I'm not going to mention on this because I don't talk about that stuff, but people could put 2 and 2 together. Jeff Kent. Might be some other reasons he's not in the Hall of Fame as well. He wasn't the most well-liked guy in the world. But I think he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. Arguably one of the best second basemen of all time offensively. It's just I think that what hurts him is that he played first a little bit. And maybe he's not fully viewed as he should be for being an elite offensive second baseman. But I think he should be in. So I think he's going to get on this ballot. No, I do not. Gary Sheffield I would put into the Hall of Fame. I would put in Roger and Barry too, but they're not going to do that on this ballot. I don't think Fernando Valenzuela, that's a tough one because the cultural impact and how great he was, but I just don't think the body of longevity and long work is there personally. But hey, we'll be back soon. I barely went over an hour, but everyone check in Sunday. Got a lot of stuff going on. And thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Let's get this out of here.